Welcome one and all, I'm Alexis, aka The Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do a video all about books that I think would make great television shows. I have 5 books here that I think would make great TV shows, and I specifically think these would be better TV shows than movies, and I'll kind of explain why. I do want to do a video, most likely sometime, probably not this month, but maybe next month, about books I think would make great movies, because I feel like they're different. I tried not to choose anything that I knew had been optioned already, so I won't be including The Raven Boys on this list, though personally I think The Raven Boys lends itself to being a good TV adaptation rather than a movie adaptation. So yeah, I'll just go ahead and get into it. The first one I'm going to mention is the one that actually sparked me to make this video, and that is The 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. I think The 5th Season lends itself very well to being a TV show because I feel like the book in and of itself is written almost in an episodic format because there are 3 different storylines that you're following. And so I feel like that lends itself so well to a TV show format, because when you're getting through one person's storyline, you know, you're leaving yourself open for cliffhanger episodes. So I feel like that in and of itself fits so well to TV. I also think that the fact that this is like a dystopian with fantastical elements in it lends itself well to TV because the magic in this is interesting, but it's not overly complex. It's not something that would need to be condensed to fit into a 2-hour movie. It's something that you could explore over a season to get all of the nuance out of, but it's not like overly complex that you're going to spend so much time just trying to get the magic through. And at the same time, it's not overly complex that so much that it would need great like visual attentive detail, right? Like if you read the story and you know how orogeny works, a lot of it is kind of just like feeling the earth. And I feel like that could be done very easily on TV, you know, without looking like really cheesy or anything like that. So I feel like the story lends itself really well to television. I think the way that it's told, and again, like how it's already kind of written in an episodic way. And yeah, I genuinely just think that this would make a great TV show. The next one I'm going to mention is Shallow Graves by Callie Wallace, and to be fair, I think this book could also be made into a movie, but I'm specifically talking about it being a TV show because I feel like if they made it into a TV show, they could expand even more on the story because they'd have more time. This follows our main character Breezy as she's going on a road trip across the country to figure out what happened to her after she mysteriously wakes up in a grave a year after she died. And so we're seeing her do that, but we're also seeing her encounter these other mythical creatures, and also she is grappling with this sudden ability to like see people who've committed horrendous violent acts. And so I feel like all of that combined could totally be made into a television show. You know, we could have the overarching plot of Breezy trying to figure out what happened to her, but we also could have Breezy encountering these different people who've committed violent acts and how she interacts with these situations. We also could expand a lot more on her meeting other paranormal creatures and getting to know them and getting to know their story. So I feel like that reason is why it would make a really good TV show, because of the fact that like you could take the source material and I feel like add so much to it by being like, okay, we're gonna show every step of Breezy's journey across the country, which is something that we didn't get to see in the book because of like, obviously, like that's not necessarily enjoyable to read, but I feel like they could make it enjoyable to watch. So that's why I chose this one. Again, I think if you stuck to the book, it would make a great movie, but I feel like if you took the option to make it into a TV show, you could add so much more to it. Very similarly, my next one is going to be Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. Given that this is a novella series that follows different characters in each book and different mini stories all within the world of this, I feel like you could take all of those and put them together. And I hesitate to say it would be almost Once Upon a Time-ish because that show was terrible, but almost in that same way where you look at like the story taking place in our worlds and you intersperse that with scenes of these characters in their own portal worlds. You know, I would really like to see Nancy and Cade and Jack and Jill talking about their worlds and then getting to see those glimpses in other episodes. And I feel like because there's so many magical worlds and there's so many points of view that we get over the course of this novella series, I feel like that lends itself really well to television, because you could have an entire episode just about Jack and Jill and the Moors and their story. And then, you know, at the end of the episode, you can bring it back to almost the present of this story overhead. And I just think that would lend itself much better to TV than a movie, because I feel like a movie you'd be trying to bounce around too much, trying to include all of the portal worlds. Whereas I feel like with TV you could spend the time to really stretch that out. The next one I'm going to mention is The Diviners by Libba Bray. I, to be honest with you, think this would make a terrible movie. I think they would have to cut way too much out for this to be a movie, because of the fact that there are so many main characters and they all have their own storylines. Plus, there's like an individual overarching storyline, and I just think it's too much to try and fit into a movie. But for that reason, I think it lends itself well to television, because, I mean, this book honestly could probably be 2 seasons of a show if they really wanted to dig deep, or a really long season of one show. If they really, really wanted to dig deep and explore all that Theta and Evie and Sam and Memphis and Henry and Jericho, like if they really wanted to explore all of their stories and all that they have to offer, like they could do that in television, where I feel like they couldn't in a movie, because in a movie there's just so much in here and they'd have to cut so much out to make it into a 2-hour movie. Also, I just really want to see a 1920s paranormal spooky TV show with a bunch of really, really diverse characters. Like I just think that that lends itself to being such an interesting show to follow. And again, this having so many different main characters and so many different points of view, I think that lends itself really well to an episodic format, because you're not bouncing around a ton in a 2-hour movie, you're bouncing around in a 20-episode season, that kind of thing. So I think this would make a phenomenal TV show. If a production company wants to hire me to make it, I will make this a TV show. Like, I don't have the money, so if somebody wants to fund it, I'll write a script for it, because like I would love more than anything to see The Diviners become a TV show. Like I would really like that. The next one I'm going to mention is another one I think lends itself well to TV because of the complexity of the story, and that is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendar Blake. This follows 3 siblings on an island as they compete to be the queen. There are a lot of characters in this, and there's a lot of politics, and there's a lot of magic. And the world this takes place in is all on an island, but you see so much of the island in this series, and I feel like all of that lends itself better to TV than it would to a movie, because like you could spread so much of this out. Like I feel like a lot of the stuff we only get to focus on for a chapter could easily be made into an entire episode, right? Like I feel like you could expand so much on the sisters when they were younger. You know, I feel like you could spend a lot of time on that. I feel like you could spend so much time on them when they were younger, but in their separate places in Finburn. And I feel like you could spend so much time really looking into the other characters in the series. And so, like, for the reason of just the, like, complexity of how much is in this book and the subsequent second book, like, I feel like you could just expand so much on all of that. And you could get easily 3 seasons out of the first 2 books, you know, possibly even 4 if you really, really wanted to push your luck. And there's still 2 more books in the series, I think, that are coming out. So it's like, I feel like there's so much material to work with, and there's so much material that you can take and you could make more and make bigger, and that's why I think this lends itself really, really well to television. Alrighty guys, I would love to know what you think of my choices, and I also would like to know which book you guys think would make a great TV show, and or which book to TV adaptation you're really excited for. If you like what I do, I upload videos on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll see you guys soon with another one. Bye!